everybody. I'm Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party of Canada. Uh, our candidates in BC, Chris Enns, is with me right now and is on site at the Universal Ostrich Farm at Edgewood in BC. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hello, good morning, Max. I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. And it's important for me to have that discussion because we want to share that information to everybody across the country. We are the only party that is fighting to, since January 2025, to end that tyranny coming from the state.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I've been on location since Friday. I've had the opportunity to meet with the owners and all of the people in attendance, a lovely crowd of freedom-loving individuals and who really care about these birds and what they represent in terms of property rights in this country, about government overreach, and about just humane treatment of animals and what's right and wrong.
So speaking about the testing, Chris, I know that they did test these animals a couple of months ago, but what about the new situation? Are they able to have a new testing?
No, they haven't been able to have new testing. And before the CFIA came and occupied the parcel that the birds are on, the farm is across multiple parcels, so that's the one that's been occupied. The owners were under threat of fine to have the birds independently tested.
My God. And so, who is in charge of the birds right now? Is it the owners, or because I've read the decision from the Supreme Court last week and they don't have the ownership of the birds anymore? Is it true?
Yeah, so the stay order that came through on, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, uh, it gives custody of the birds to the CFIA in the interim, which is an unending, unknown amount of time. So the owners have no ability to interact with the birds. There is a bird that was injured, potentially because the drones operated by CFIA, RCMP, whoever's controlling them, have been flying quite low, especially initially. And so there was an injured bird. There was a veterinarian on site, but because she's retired and no longer registered with the BC Veterinary Association, she was not permitted to go in there and do basic, animal triage.
And Chris, do we have an idea when the Supreme Court will decide if they allow the appeal or not? Is it a question of weeks or a question of months?
Well, it's the Supreme Court. So as you know, it's undetermined. The owners had until either today or Wednesday. I'm not sure because of the long weekend, which day, but yesterday they spent a lot of time discussing legal matters. I was patiently waiting to get my interview until 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they had to deal with those things first, which is totally understandable.
Yeah. And I believe that they know that the People's Party was the only and the first party actually to speak about it against what the government is doing in January of this year. And I thought that, we will win that battle easily. But now we are at the end, and the federal government is still out there and trying to, kill that little farms and all these birds. It's so crazy, and I believe that they have the support of not only Canadians but people around the globe. It's now not only a national issue, but we know that the mainstream media won't speak about it. But we know also that it is a national issue here in Canada. Do you have any news about other, news corporations who were interested in the story and what is happening here in Canada?
Well, the major news have done stories on the situation here. The global news one was quite inflammatory. They spent 2/3 of the article talking to one individual in town who was a bit misinformed about the particulars of the situation. There's a lot of support in town for the plight of the birds and the overreach of the CFIA. So that's really fantastic. There are some people who are concerned, at least according to the one person in the Global News article, that we might not be able to export our poultry internationally. And, so we should just let the CFIA do their thing because we don't want to risk our export markets. But I think that this is a bigger issue. Canada hasn't been avian flu free for 4 years. So this is not holding up anything. We're still trading with the United States. We're still trading internationally. I don't see that argument holds water.
Well, actually, if they do the testing of the birds, they will see that they're in shape right now. They must have developed antibodies, so that can be good for research. No.
Well, that is one of the primary arguments of the ownership here at the farm and of their supporters is that, if there's antibodies and if we're going to make avian influenza one of the most important diseases that we're going to highlight in our news coverage, then why wouldn't we also try to cure it with antibodies, right? Why do we have to focus on the fear, even though the ability for it to jump between animals and to humans seems rather insignificant based on the streams that I've seen with some of the doctors who came forward as expert witnesses on behalf of the farm.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have any news of what will happen this week, or it will be waiting for the Supreme Court?
I think once the Supreme Court has both the CFIA's response, which came in a few days ago, it was the one pager. They're kind of resting on the things that they've said in the past, and really blurring over some of the more important specifics of this situation. They've categorized these ostriches as poultry, which doesn't really make any sense, right? And as you'll see when you get my interview that I did yesterday, Karen really breaks down how ostriches are much different from what we consider as commercial barn turkeys and chickens, right? And so the CFIA's poultry list doesn't even apply very well to ostriches at all. So it's I've been saying to people that this is an issue of one size fits all legislation that's being broadly applied across the board. And if we're going to write legislation on matters like this, we need to have longer documents that deal with niche situations and properly account for everything.
Yes, you're right. But I want to thank you, Chris. I'm very pleased that on behalf of the People's Party, you are there and fighting on the ground with them. And as you know, we will always fight for freedom and against the state's tyranny, because that is the state tyranny. We don't know what can happen. They can come to our pets or our way of life. It's crazy what is happening, and I believe it's all in link with the UN globalist agenda. But that being said, there's no danger for you. There's no danger for the population. And now they try to kill. There are 400, I believe, ostriches. No,
it's less than 400. It's close to. Accurate counts of how many are left now is 330 is what I've heard as well. But we don't really know what's been going on the other side. It's very hard to get photography and video. And I heard reports that the night that the hay bale lit up, which looks like a naturally occurring, dry hay setting fire, as used to happen years ago when we were more agrarian and everybody had a barn and they'd set on fire once in a while. So people seem to have forgotten that this is something that does happen with hay. However, it also smelled like there was potentially an accelerant. So, and then after that, the CFIA had a dump truck leave the site. So there is some speculation that the CFIA may have done a test run on their disposal methodology. So it is speculation, but it deserves mention. I'd just like to say thanks, Max, for having the opportunity to come out here and be with all these people and represent both Canadians and the People's Party membership on site. It's not an easy trek to get here. It takes some time. But if anybody has an opportunity to get out here, I highly encourage it. It's very different to see something on location yourself versus seeing it through social media.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris, for everything that you're doing. And yes, we will stay in touch. And for the people who may be interested to see your videos and your interview that you did over there, I'll put the link below. They can follow you also, and they can follow us, the People's Party of Canada. at People's Party of Canada.ca and me, Maxime Bernier, at on X. So let's do a follow up with that in a couple of days or weeks of what will happen. But we are doing our best to be sure that this tyranny will end and freedom would be respected.
100% agree. Thank you.
Thank you.